Hello, I'm Mombierella. Welcome to a tale as old as time. And now, Poor Unfortunate Soul, A Tale of the Sea Witch by Serena Valentino. Adapted, in part, from Disney's The Little Mermaid. Copyright 2016, Disney Enterprises Incorporated. Chapter 1, The Sea Witch. It had been many years since Ursula had seen her dear friends, the sister witches. Not since right after her exile from Triton's court had she paid them a visit. There was so much to catch up on, and as she made her way, she saw light dancing across the rippling water and knew she was at last reaching the surface. She could almost make out the shadowy images of the three sisters standing on the shore waiting for her arrival. It has been a rather long time, she thought, and decided she might as well make a grand entrance with a great spectacle. She felt herself growing, her tentacles elongating, a sensation that always made her feel like the dominant force of the sea that she was. I haven't felt this power within me for ages. She'd taken down massive ships in that form, splintering them, casting their remains deep into dark, foreboding realm. She saw the looks of astonishment in the odd sister's bulging eyes as she rose out of the water to towering heights. The trio of sister witches, Lucinda, Ruby, and Martha, looked small, standing on the wet black rocks, shivering in the cold. Ursula thought the sisters possessed a grotesque beauty, with their too large eyes, tiny mouths, and pale, haunting faces. They were framed far too perfectly by their raven ringlets. She found them beautiful, even if the mist clinging to the feathers in their hair made them look like frightened, soggy, flightless birds. One wouldn't know it by their frightful state, Ursula mused, but those witches were the things of legends. They were cousins to the old king, the father of the queen called Snow White. And they were great benefactors to the dark fairy and her sleeping princess. Though Ursula would never say so out loud, she owed her newly regained power to the odd sisters. They'd returned her necklace, although she considered it a fair exchange for something their little sister had desperately wanted. Lucinda gasped as water spilled from Ursula's massive form onto the witches' awestruck faces, their ears splitting with Ursula's thunderous laughter and booming voice. I'm so happy to see you, sisters. It's been far too long. The sea witch leaned down to be at eye level with the odd sisters. They were really quite striking, she thought, but too much beauty without the proper proportions. Ursula's arms were outstretched, ready to embrace them. The sisters scuttled tentatively as one into Ursula's embrace, which eased their concern and relaxed them with the fact that Ursula was not cross with them. I see you're wearing our gift, said the sisters in unison, spotting the golden seashell necklace around her neck. All were worried Ursula would be enraged if she had ever learned it had been stashed away in their pantry, half forgotten all that time. Ursula laughed, this time at the sound of the sisters' scratchy voices, and at the state of the drooping feathers in their pitch-black hair. Thank you, my dear friends. You will have to tell me how you got it back from my brother at some point. Or was it Circe? I didn't ask her when she brought it to me. And where is Circe? I'm surprised she isn't with you. Circe. The mention of her name was like knives being plunged into the odd sisters' hearts. She'd been a source of heartbreak for them, the reason Lucinda had called on Ursula for help. Circe was the reason the odd sisters cried endlessly, vainly crying her name into the darkness, hoping she would at last return on account of their pleas for forgiveness. Circe hadn't answered her sisters' calls, so they summoned the sea witch for help. Of course, Ursula would want something in return. She always did. She was the maker of deals. Lucinda spoke first. Circe, our beloved, has gone far from us. Her deep red satin gown was stained with tears, and like her sisters, her eyes were smudged with black coal makeup that had streamed down her cheeks from long hours of crying. She's so angry with us. She's ventured where our magic cannot follow, continued Ruby. Martha's sobs were almost too violent for her to speak. That's why we've come to you, Ursula. We want to see our little sister again. Ursula asked the obvious question. Have you tried to summon her, dears? In one of your many enchanted mirrors? The sisters broke down crying again. She must have done a spell. When she let that keeps us from summoning her, Martha said, bulging eyes, which were so much like her sisters, were filled with grief and fear. Ursula could tell they were truly afraid. She couldn't recall ever seeing her friends in such a state, so full of regret and so grief-stricken. I promise you, Martha, I will help you find Circe. I promise each of you, my dearies, you will see your little sister again. Then Ursula smiled one of her magnificent grins. which slowly transformed into something a bit more mundane, as she used her magic to assume human form and took the sobbing Martha into her arms. She knew the sisters would give anything to see Circe again, and as much as she wanted to help them, and of course she would be happy to do so, she just so happened to be in need of the odd sister's special brand of magic in return for her favor. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe. Make sure to ring that notification bell to keep up to date on all the new magic coming out. And remember, let it go and keep moving forward. Have a magical day.